almost changed another tune too, so I'm glad I didn't do that.
So we end up having 4 puppies
Nice, again.
in the C-section. So
It's puppy season.
I'm gonna go ahead and have them so that I'm leaving town as soon as this is over with.
Gotcha.
Go ahead and get them there.
I need to get some more of those gray on this.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We celebrate being together this weekend, this Shabbat, with Hine Matov on page 128. Let's sing together. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. We read together on page 124. When we enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat, within these walls we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer, and we turn to page 120 for our candle lighting blessing. Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav mitzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. For those who are able, we rise on page 123 for our Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'asei bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh seichel yitziat Mitzrayim kivanu bacharta beotanu kidashta mikol hamim b'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim, please be seated. We read together on page 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. And we turn to page 130 for Psalm 95, the beginning of Kabbalat Shabbat. Lechu neranena l'Adonai nariya litzur yisheinu. Lechu neranena l'Adonai nariya litzur yisheinu v'kadma fanam b'toda izmirot nariya lo ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim asher beyado mechkerei aretz v'toafot harim lo asher lo hayam vehu asahu v'yabeshet yadav yatzaru ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu amarito v'etzon yado. On 138, we sing Lecha Dodi, the pinnacle of Kabbalat Shabbat. Lecha Dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'ni borecha תשמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד שם ולתפארת בלי תהילה לכאן דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לכאן דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשן בתחילה לכאן דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לכאן דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לכאן דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לכאן דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה. We rise and face the rear as we welcome the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret malakam mesimcha ubtzola toch emunei am segula boi chala לכאן דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לכאן דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה. Page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. יתגדל ויתקדש שמרפא בעלמא תברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחי לכל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבא מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשם בריחו לעילה מן כל מלאכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen. For those who are able, we rise for our Baruch Hu. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yadadai dai dai, 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 yadadai dai dai. Please be seated. Page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the times and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. On the next page. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavtam, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadetam. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu uvkumeinu, nasiach mechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed, ki heim chayenu be'orech yameinu, ubahem nehgeh yomam balayla. Ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu leolamim, baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto leolam. את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. We sing our Mi Chamocha, our song of redemption, on page 158. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar ba'kodesh, Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh belem, Nora tehilot oseh belem, Adonai melech leolam ba'ed. Malchutecha ra'u banecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, se'eli anu ve'amru, se'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai melech leolam ba'ed. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, V'hamideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Shield us, the shelter of your love. Shield us from hatred and sorrow and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, V'hamideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, Psalm 63. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Vishamru. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. 165. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. For those who are able, we rise for our tefillah on the next page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם, אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופאי חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. If it's your tradition, please be seated. We read together on page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol ha-shalom, ki ata hu melech adon lechol ha-shalom, betom beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. We take a few moments for private meditation. יהיו רצון אמרי פי, יהיו רצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי lefanecha, Adonai tzuri v'goali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom imromav, Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Me'imeru, me'imeru. Amen. It's at this time in our service that we think of those in our community in need of healing of body or spirit. We're on page 371. The congregation sends its well wishes to Linda Applebaum, Margaret Bell, Chase Callahan, Harold Seitlin, Deborah Chargois, Orit Cohen, Danny Cohn, Karen Edwards, Edward Goldberg, Jeffrey Goldman, Sandra Goldman, Miriam Goldstein, Fran Curry Harrington, Josie Hatfield, Emily Held, Evelyn Held, Donald Himmel, Ralph Holtzman, Corey Kessler, Jerry Lapidus, Ruth Lishkoff, Zane Mondlik, Malka Bat Rachel, Arvin Robinson, Susan Schumann, Leslie Simon, Christy St. Charles, Don St. Charles, Brenda Weinstein, and Edgar Zimmerman. If you are thinking of someone you love and wish to share a name out loud, please feel free to do so, or stand so I know you'd like to. For all those mentioned and all those in our hearts, including the relatives of those in Uvalde, we sing Mishberach. Mishberach avoteinu mekor habracha le'imoteinu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imoteinu mekor habracha la'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We have been establishing a new tradition in the last few years since Rabbi Wright has arrived of playing the Omer game during the Omer. And we are very blessed to have a congregant-led Omer game for the very first time. So I'm going to invite up Dr. Glenn Fleissig to lead us in our game. Woo!
Thanks, Cantor Whitner. Cantor Whitner and Rabbi Wright have been doing this for a few years, and I enjoy it when I'm over there, and I enjoy watching it. So they invited me to ask a couple of questions, and today is day number 42 of the counting of the Omer. So I have a couple of questions to quiz you on number 42. The first one is, who was president number 42? Anybody figure that one out? Any citizens of the United States here? Biden's number 46. So if you count back a few, who? No, off by one. Clinton. Bill Clinton is number 42. Okay, this one is actually a little harder question, but sometimes we seek meaning from religion and the Bible and coming to temple, and sometimes people seek religion from science. And there was a book about 40 years ago called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Okay, a couple of people heard the book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And in that book, some intelligent beings use science to try to figure out the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. So what they did was actually they built a computer. These intelligent beings built a computer and asked it the ultimate question: what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? And the computer says it'll take me 7.5 million years to calculate the answer, but I will. And then the intelligent being said, okay. And they built the computer to figure out the answer to the ultimate question. And 7.5 million years later, the computer had the answer, told the descendants of the intelligent beings what the answer was to the ultimate question about life, the universe, and everything. Does anyone remember what the answer was? 42. The answer was 42. And the people who, the descendants 7.5 million years later were equally disappointed with that. And then they realized that they didn't know what the question was. So then they had to build another computer to figure out what the ultimate question was to life, the universe, and everything. Anyway, the last one is, I like sports, and sometimes Rabbi Wright asks some sports questions, and I'm going to ask you a sports question about number 42. 25 years ago, President number 42, Clinton, was at a baseball game, and he joined the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and they retired the number 42 throughout all of baseball. Who was number 42 in baseball? Jackie Robinson. Okay. So that was my quiz for number 42.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Also, Mariano Rivera continued to wear number 42 for the Yankees. So, if everyone who is able, please rise. We are going to count the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav mitzivanu al sfirat haomer hayom shnayim be'arba'im yom shehem shisha shavuot la'omer. Today is the 42nd day, which is the 6 weeks of the Omer. We remain standing for Aleinu on page 586. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Please be seated. Alexandria Ania Rubio, Alethea Ramirez, Amery Joe Garza, Annabel Guadalupe Rodriguez, Eliahana Cruz Torres, Eliana Eli Garcia, Eva Mireles, Irma Garcia, Jackie Casares, Jaila Nicole Silguero, Jace Luebanos, Jose Flores, Laila Salazar, McKenna Lee Elrod, Maite Rodriguez, Miranda Mathis, Nevai Bravo, Rogelio Torres, Tess Marie Mata, Uzia Garcia, and Xavier Lopez. Another tragedy has taken these lives from us this week. It's hard enough to accept death that comes after a full measure of years of fulfillment, growth into adulthood, or perhaps when someone sacrifices his or her life for something he believes in. But how can we possibly justify the fact of this tragic death of all of these people who had just begun to taste from the cup of life, whose intelligence, beauty, talent, warmth, it gave their parents every hope of seeing them grow into adulthood, of nurturing their own families perhaps one day. When these lives so full of promise are whisked out from us, we mortals can only stand in our agony and grief and let our tears express our dismay. There's no justification that is in our power to realize, but we can work to make sure that such a tragedy does not happen again. For the souls of the departed, we offer a prayer from Psalm 23. Adonai roi lo echsar binot deshayar bitzeini al mei menuchot Nafshi yeshovev Yancheini b'maglei tzedek Yancheini b'maglei tzedek leman shemo Gam ki eleich megetz al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shiftecha umishantecha heima yenachamuni ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged zorai nishantam b'shemen roshi kosirem bayam ach tov chesed yirnefuni kol yemei chayai kol yemei chayai veshavti meveit Adonai leorech yamim Adonai roi lo echsar. For Memorial Day, I now invite up retired Navy Lieutenant and JWV Commander Bob Rutstein to share the names of the Jewish men and women who were killed serving their country in operations Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, New Dawn, and Freedom Sentinel.
The microphone is okay? Yeah. Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
The Jewish war veterans, the patriotic voice of American Jewry, and the oldest continuously operating veterans organization, has requested that the names of the Jewish servicemen and servicewomen who lost their lives in the Afghanistan and Iraq wars be read at Shabbat services at synagogues throughout America on Memorial Day weekend. As commander of the Jewish War Veteran Post 608 here in Birmingham, it is my solemn duty to read the 58 names here at Temple Emanu-El. Specialist Daniel J. Agami, Army. Sergeant Howard P. Allen, Arizona Army National Guard. First Lieutenant David R. Bernstein, Army. Corporal Albert Bitten, Army. Sergeant Aaron C. Blum, Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class Michael Brodsky, U.S. Coast Guard. Technical Sergeant Anthony L. Capra, Air Force. Sergeant 1st Class Christopher A. Sellers, Army. Corporal Ryan J. Clark, Army. Corporal Michael R. Cohen, Marine Corps. 2nd Lieutenant Seth Devoren, Army. Lance Corporal Mark E. Engel, Marine Corps. Corporal Mark A. Evnen, Marine Corps. Private 1st Class Aaron E. Fairbairn, Army. 1st Lieutenant Daniel Farkas, Army. Sergeant Zachary M. Fisher, Army. Specialist Jacob S. Fletcher, Army. Specialist Daniel J. Freeman, Army. Specialist Douglas Green, Army. Sergeant Foster L. Harrington, Marine Corps. Airman 1st Class Elizabeth Jacobson, Air Force. Lance Corporal Jeremy M. Kane, Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class SEAL Matthew G. Cantor, Navy. 1st Lieutenant Nathan M. Krisoff, Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant James M. Melachowski, Marine Corps. Private 1st Class Gabra P. Noonan, Army. Specialist Levi N. E. Nuncio, Army. Corporal Michael Aramis, Army. Staff Sergeant Robert J. Paul, Army Reserve. Major Mark E. Rosenberg, Army. Corporal Dustin H. Schrag, Marine Corps. 1st Lieutenant Rosalind L. Shute. She was the first female graduate of the Air Force Academy to die in combat. Captain Joseph W. Schultz, Army. Captain Robert M. Setcher, Marine Corps. Specialist Mark S. Seiden, Army. Airman 1st Class Matthew R. Seidler, Air Force. Staff Sergeant Michael B. Shackelford, Army. Private 1st Class Stephen Shapiro, Army. Sergeant Alan D. Sherman, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Joshua Silverman, Army. Captain Benjamin A. Sclaver, Army. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Eric A. Smith, Army. Private 1st Class Eric D. Sofran, Army. 1st Lieutenant Andrew K. Stern, Marine Corps. Captain Michael Y. Tarlovsky, Army. Staff Sergeant Peter W. Taub, Air Force. Private First Class Morris L. Walker, Army. Specialist Glenn J. Watkins, Washington Army National Guard. Technical Sergeant Timothy R. Weiner, Air Force. Sergeant Robert M. Weinger, Army. Specialist Jeffrey M. Warshaw, Florida Army National Guard. Private First Class Colin J. Wolf, Marine Corps. Major Stuart A. Wolfer, Army. Sergeant Elijah Ta Wa Wong, Army. Specialist Benjamin Ben Yehuda, Army. Senior Airman Jonathan A.V. Yellner, Air Force. Lieutenant Stephen Zilberman, Navy. May their memory be a blessing. I'll take this by mistake. No, that's fine.
For the many names mentioned, we also add our yahrzeit list to them. Lawrence Asherman, Harris Turo Bellows, Elsie Cohen Bernheim, Ralph Carl Black Jr., Alta Epsman, Goldie Gary Goldberg, Gerald Wayne Goldfarb, Dorothy Goldstein, Rose Katz Gottlieb, Andrea Gould, Rabbi Milton L. Grafman, Roy D. Gresham, George Kirschberg, Louis Leaf, Elliot Loveman, Bertram Moses Marks, Rosalind Mason, Martin May, Vivian Zuraf Mazer, Abraham I. Papier, James O. Patrick, Ruben Piha, Donald Raymond, Raymond Reisman, Dave Rosenfeld, Ari Rutkoff, Lena Salloway, Jack Schneidkraut, Linda Schwartz, George Shapiro, Steve Slate, D. Sokol, Rita Russ Spear, Siegfried Steiner, Martin Stoll, Ronnie Taylor, Kay Ustan, Fanny Weinstein, Sylvia Lewis Weinstein, Richard Wertheimer, Norval O. Winnick. We send our condolences on the recent passings of Avery Fearman, grandson of Bobby and Chuchi, nephew of Judy Ladden McDonald, Meredith Smith, and Ellen Kahn, mother of Elizabeth David. Also, John Clifford Olenek, father of Anna Olenek Levy, and grandfather of Mackenzie and Madison Levy. For all those mentioned and those we are also thinking of, we rise as one holy community to recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrah chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, Vitadar, Vitalev, Vitalal, Shemed Kudusha, Brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, honestly sure if this is a rise or whether it's supposed to be risen or seated for this, but we sing God Bless America. Why don't we say standing? God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy your time with family for Memorial Day weekend.
She's in Barcelona right now. So when she first started out song leading in camp, she was my song leader. In Kutz,